Hey Queen, it's Lynette, founder of MoodWellth, back with part 2 of my discussion on toxic relationships. In the first discussion, we talked about the signs and symptoms of toxic relationship disease. And as I stated then, we've all been affected by toxic relationships in some way or another. And maybe even some of us have been that toxic person in the relationship. If so, I hope that discussion enlightened you, and hoping that this one will too. Now that you've learned how to recognize some of the signs of a toxic relationship, I want to discuss how to effectively handle these types of relationships. But let me forewarn you, it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice, and you will experience a lot of resistance from the toxic person. Just hang in there. Stand firm in this new way of thinking and being, and keep reminding yourself that it's necessary to set healthy boundaries for yourself so that you can show up as your whole healthy self in your relationships. So let's get started with some tips on how to effectively manage toxic relationships. The first one being is to recognize when you're in one. This is probably the most important, yet also the hardest, because it's so easy for us to excuse away this type of behavior. Unfortunately, it's often coming from someone who's closest to us. So as I stated in the last discussion, we have a problem isolating the person from the behavior itself, and we give them a pass. But I want you to pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to how you feel when you're around or with this person. If you feel mentally exhausted, anxious, on edge, and overall just not good when you're with this person or in anticipation of seeing this person, this may be an indication that you're in a toxic relationship. The next is to set clear boundaries. If you feel as if you have to walk on eggshells around this person, tell them. If you feel like he or she is always putting you down, let them know you'll no longer tolerate that behavior. If that individual is always all about themselves, give yourself a very brief time limit for listening and then disengage. Learn to firmly communicate how you feel. Give that person room to accept or decline the invitation, to treat you how you deserve to be treated, and then choose your action accordingly. This will feel awkward at first because it could be a parent, a family member, or someone you consider a close friend. Just keep in mind that people won't know how you feel unless you communicate it to them. It might also be helpful to seek counseling from a third party, especially if that person is a parent or spouse. The next is to limit or cut off exposure. Once you've clearly expressed your boundaries and that person has chosen to decline your invitation to treat you the way you feel you deserve to be treated, now is the time to decide to no longer participate. I read the following quote the other day and it really resonated with me. It said, "Remember, you can't control someone's negative behavior, but you can decide to no longer participate in it. At this point, it is best to learn to love that person from a distance. Don't argue back and forth. Don't keep explaining how you feel. Don't keep begging this person to change. Staying entangled in a toxic relationship will not be helpful to your mental well-being, and it certainly won't motivate that person to change. Decide to accept what is, and then disengage." The next tip is to nurture your healthy relationships. So often, toxic relationships monopolize so much of our time. We're not spending time battling with that actual person. We are consumed by the negative thoughts as a result of this person. Toxic people can consume you, and it's important to not allow them to take you away from the healthy relationships in your life. Instead of spending time wishing this person was different, spend time nurturing the relationships that are actually what you are wishing for. The last tip is another hard one, but don't hold on to anger and resentment. I know I said the first tip was the most important, but this one runs a very, very close second. Don't allow toxic people to consume you even after you've distanced yourself from them by holding on to anger and resentment. Accept that person for who he or she is instead of who you wish they were, and forgive them. Then delete whatever messages you have been programmed in your head as a result of your relationship with them and move on. Anger and resentment will only eat away at you, and it allows that toxic person to still have power over you. Forgive, let go, and move on. You are worth so much more than the toxic messages that have been programmed in your head as a result of being in a relationship with that person. You're worth so much more than the treatment that they were incapable of providing you. You are worth a healthy, whole relationship with people who know how to treat and love you the way you deserve to be loved, with people who show up for you the way you show up for them. You just have to give yourself a chance to experience the healthy relationships by letting go of the toxic ones. I hope this was helpful. And as always, I wish you love, I wish you peace, I wish you joy, I wish you ease as you continue on your journey. Peace.